I get it. When we learn a language or when we learn pronunciation or when we learn anything new, we are entering territory that feel very uncomfortable in because it's something that we haven't done before, and we're looking for consistency and we're looking for stability, something that we can kind of turn to constantly that assures us that we're making the right decision. So for instance, when it comes to pronunciation, we when we're learning pronunciation, we want to go to the thing that makes us feel like we're making the right sound, that we're doing something correctly, that we're doing something in a way that is natural. So what's the reaction of this? It's something that I think is actually causing a lot of language learners, not just in English, but in other languages too, frustration and at times even discouragement. And what I'm talking about is that I think that when we learn a language, we forget that a language isn't like math or another skill set. A language is flexible and fluid and has so many options. And so, in today's video, what we're going to be really focusing on is this aspect of language and the idea of focusing too much on things that aren't necessarily wrong, but that maybe have other options that would actually make our life easier if we were open to it. And I'll explain more. Don't worry. Hello to Emmanuel and hello to Hajar. Thank you for being with us today. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, guys. Welcome to your daily American English pronunciation show. Wake up, American. We're here Monday through Friday. Today, again, a little bit earlier, just some things going on. Um, so I have to head out a little bit earlier than usual. But typically, we're here around 8 a.m. New York to make sure that you can get in your 5 to 10 minutes of daily pronunciation practice in, because that's what it takes. It takes showing up every single day. And in fact, that's probably going to be the biggest factor towards your growth more than anything else. It's just making that consistent time for yourself. To guide you in that process, there's me. Hello, my name is Jeff. It rhymes with breath. That's one of the 4 keys to a natural sound in American English, including placement, pitch, breath, and then trying to weaken your consonant sounds and strengthen your vowel sounds. Notice one of the things I didn't say out of those 4, and it's something I actually used to teach a lot, so it's kind of contradictory, is mouth position. I was not focused on mouth position. I honestly don't really care about mouth position. The reason I don't really care about mouth position is because one of the things I've found just from teaching pronunciation for a while is that the sound is the king. I don't really care how you get there, but the sound is the king. Because when I first taught pronunciation, and maybe this will resonate with you, this is a story I often tell new students. When I first taught pronunciation, I went by the book. In fact, you can get books. There's books, for instance, like, oh my gosh, didn't mean to do that, sorry. There's books like this, where you can actually go into it, and what they will do is they will show you things like this. Probably can't see it super great, but like you can see like there's like a mouth position chart in there. And I like the idea of this. I like the idea of having a model that you can look at, that you see it, and you're like, okay, this is how it works. This is where I need to put my tongue. This is what I need to do with my lips and things like that. But the way these books and resources often present information is that you see one model, but you think it's the model. You see one approach and you're like, this is the only way to do it, right? So, for instance, you'll see a teacher telling you that for a TH sound, you need to put your tongue in between your teeth, like that, to say like that or those, right? And it works. I just made a TH sound with my tongue in between my teeth. I just did that. But here's the thing. So I was teaching that way for a while. And one of the things I found 2 things. Maybe you found these as well. The first thing I found was that a teacher would teach those sounds, and later on, sometimes even in the same video, or in the same class, the teacher would say a word with that sound they just taught, but the tongue wouldn't be doing what they said it would do, or their lips wouldn't be doing what they said they would do. And so I was starting to get a little bit confused. It's like, I'm teaching students to do like a the sound, but then I just said the word this and my tongue stayed behind my top front tooth. What's going on with that? Another thing I encountered too was I would teach students the mouth position stuff. They would be perfect, tongue in the right spot, mouth, the lips, everything, the whole shebang, doing exactly what it needs. But when they would produce the sound, it was still very clearly accented. You could tell they were not a native speaker. It was clear, it was understandable, but not natural sounding. And this is when I started to realize that the way that pronunciation is often taught is it's taught assuming that the goal of a language learner is to speak clearly and understandably. The goal of a language learner is not to speak necessarily in a way that is natural. And that's not my goal. When I'm learning language, I don't want to just speak clear and understandable. I want I'm that perfectionist, hey, I want to sound as close to native like as possible. I like the challenge. I don't know if I'll ever be able to reach the challenge, but I like the challenge. I like challenges. That's why I started my own teaching company. I like the challenge of starting your own business. It's fun. I enjoy that. The successes, the failures, everything. Okay, it's nice having all that responsibility on you. And so that's part of the reason why we have Fluent American. That's part of the reason why I push for the 4 keys: placement, pitch, breath, and weakening consonant sounds. Because to me, these are the real things that allow you to have a natural accent, not things like, put your tongue here, do this. They can be helpful. Mouth position has a place. But I think if we approach mouth position as the sole focus and the sole strategy for us to achieve natural sound, it's going to be very, very difficult. Okay. So what does that have to do with us? What does it do with you as you're on this American English pronunciation journey? Just one piece of advice. It's a lot of lead up just to this advice, but the advice, my biggest suggestion with you would be, do not be married to producing a sound a single way. Be open to the idea that that same sound I produced maybe, just maybe, can also be produced in another way, or a third way, or 10 different ways. There's an expression in English, there's many ways to skin a cat. I have no idea where that expression comes from. It sounds horrible, but that's the expression, so it is what it is. I'm sure everyone's language here has some weird expressions too. So what this means for us is, for instance, we see it all the time in like consonant sounds, right? But also vowels. So what this means is that, for instance, for an oo sound, I can make an oo sound like this, oo, but I can also make it sound like oo, ooh, ooh, and they're not exactly the same sound, but honestly, from a native speaker's perspective, both of them are going to work perfectly fine. I'll be honest. Okay, we see that for th sounds. I can do a th like th. I can do a th with the tip of the tongue against my top tooth like th. I can do it against my bottom front tooth like th. So like, just like that. I can make an s sound with the tip of my tongue pressing against the top of my mouth like s. I can make an s sound with the tip of my tongue against the bottom of my mouth like s. Okay, I can make an n sound with my tip of the tongue up here. N. I can make tip of the tongue with my n down here. N. I can make an R sound. We talked about R's yesterday with my tongue up here, like R. I can make it down here. R. Okay. Just be open to the idea that for every sound, there's one way that books will often teach you that work. They're fine. I don't have an issue with them. The issue I have is that there are other ways very often to make the same sound, especially in American English. And this is largely due to the fact that we have a low placement and lots of breath. So it's very forgiving for mouth positions that aren't quite right. Okay, I'm actually thankful for this aspect of American English, because once we get the placement and the breath right, and we add contrast with pitch, and we make sure our vowels have enough space, it can make even the worst mouth position still sound very, very natural. It can make the worst mouth position sound very, very natural. It can make the worst mouth position sound very, very natural. Right? So it's a quick reminder for you for today, guys. Not necessarily an exercise, but just something more of a guide for pronunciation as you continue your journey. Feel free to share your own experiences as well. I would love to hear them. And I will see you guys later. I hope you have a good day. Hope you have a good night. Have a good afternoon. I do have to run, but we'll be back tomorrow morning with another edition of Wake Up American. Once more, my name is Jeff. It rhymes with breath. It's one of the 4 keys. Natural sound American English. Placement, pitch, breath. Trying to weaken your consonant sounds. We'll talk more about it tomorrow. Take care.